Chapter 37. The Book of Syra, crossed out, Syren. Beetle and Jenna looked at the cover of the book. Syren's Book, dedicated to Julius Pike, Extraordinary Wizard, crossed out, My Islands. Why has she changed her name and crossed stuff out? Asked Jenna. Read it and you'll see, said Septimus. Jenna opened the book. She and Beetle began to read. Dear Julius, I'm writing this book for you. I trust that we will read it together, sitting by the fire in your big room at the top of the Wizard Tower. But the events of the last week have taught me not to expect things to go as I plan, and so I know that it is possible that one day you may read this alone, or maybe you will never read it. But however, and whenever, this little book returns to the castle, as I know it will, I wish to set down what happened to your faithful apprentice, Syren, after she drew the questing stone. Here follows an account of my troubles. I never expected to draw the questing stone. It had not been drawn for so long that I did not believe it really existed. Even when I did draw the stone, I still did not believe it. I thought you were playing one of your jokes. But when I saw your face, I knew you were not. When the questing guards took me away, that was the worst moment of my life. I fought all the way to the questing boat, but there were 7 magical guards against me. There was nothing I could do. The questing boat took away my magic and left me powerless. I believe the boat itself was magical, but not the kind of magic that you or I have ever used. It sailed down the river so fast that it seemed we reached the port barely a few minutes after we had left the castle. We swept straight past the port and out to sea. In a matter of minutes, I had lost all sight of land, and I knew I was doomed. As we sped across the waves, the questing guards unsheathed their knives and circled me like vultures, but they dared not strike while I looked them in the eye. Night fell, and I knew that if I slept for even a moment, I would never wake. I stayed awake through the first night, and all through the next day, but as night fell for the second time, I doubted I could fight sleep much longer. Midnight was long gone, and the dawn could not have been far away when my eyelids began to droop, and I saw the flash of a blade coming toward me. I was awake in an instant, and I leaped from the boat. Oh, Julius! How cold the water was, and how deep! I sank like a stone until my robes ballooned out, and slowly I began to rise toward the surface. I remember seeing the moon above as I floated up, and as I broke the surface, I saw that the questing boat was no more. I was alone in an empty sea, and I knew in a few minutes I would be sinking through the deep for the last time. Then, to my joy, I felt my magic returning. I called a dolphin, and she took me to a lighthouse with, you will not believe this, Julius, ears at the top like a cat, and eyes through which its brilliant light shone like the sun. The lighthouse was a strange place. There were 2 creatures there, more like cats than men, who looked after the magical sphere that provided the light. I left a message with them for you in case a passing ship should call. I wonder if you will receive it before I return. I was of a mind to wait for a passing ship myself, but that night, as I slept on a hard bed in a bunkhouse, I heard someone calling my name so sweetly. I could not resist. I tiptoed out of the lighthouse and called my dolphin. She took me to the island. My dolphin took me to a rocky shore where there was deep water. Not far away I found some sand dunes, where I fell asleep. I woke the next morning to the sound of the gentle wash of the waves and the soft song of my name being whispered across the sand. As the sun rose over the sea, I walked along the beach and thought myself in paradise. Julius, how wrong I was. Crossed out. She added the last sentence later, said Beetle, who had an eye for handwriting. It is much more shaky. And it's been crossed out, said Jenna. By someone else, said Beetle. You can tell because the pen is held differently. Jenna turned the page, and the book continued as a diary. Island, Day 1. I have made a camp in a sheltered hollow overlooking the lighthouse. I like to see the light at night. Today I found all that I need. Sweet water from a spring, a prickly yet delicious fruit that I picked from a grove of trees, and 2 fish that I caught with my bare hands. You see, my time spent fishing in the moat was not wasted. And, best of all, I discovered this ship's logbook washed up on the beach, which I shall use as a diary. Soon, Julius, I shall call my dolphin and return to you. But first, I wish to recover my strength and enjoy this beautiful place, which is full of song. I sing. Island, Day 2. Today I explored further. I found a beach hidden below a tall cliff, but I did not stay long. A cliff rose up behind. and I had a strange feeling of being watched. I am very curious about what is at the top of the cliff. I feel there is something beautiful there. Maybe tomorrow I shall climb the hill with the trees on the top and see what is there. Come to me. Island Day 3. This morning I was awoken by the sweet voice calling me. I followed the song, and strangely, it led me up the hill and through the trees, where I had planned to go today. Beyond the trees, on the very top of the cliff, I found a lone tower. There is an entrance, but I saw a darkness across it. I watched it for a while until I felt it drawing me too close. Now I have come safely away to my secret place in the sand dunes. I shall not go back to that tower again. Tomorrow I am resolved to call my dolphin and depart for the castle. Julius, how I long to see your smile when I walk through the great silver doors of the Wizard Tower once more. Nevermore. Island Day 4. Today I awoke outside the tower. I do not know how. I have never before walked in my sleep, but I believe this is what happened. I am thankful that I woke before I walked inside. I ran away despite a beautiful voice begging me to stay. I am back in my secret place in the dunes, and I am afraid. I called my dolphin, but she has not come. She will never come. Island Day 5. I did not sleep last night, for I was afraid where I would wake. Still, my dolphin does not come. I shall not sleep tonight. Sleep. Island Day 6. Last night I stayed awake again. I am so tired. It is as if I were on the questing boat once more. Soon it will be nightfall, and I am afraid. If I fall asleep, where will I wake? I feel so alone. This book is my only friend. Tonight you shall come to me. It's horrible, Jenna shivered. It gets worse, said Septimus. He turned the flimsy page, and with a sense of foreboding, Jenna and Beetle read on. Island Day 7. Today I awoke in the tower. I cannot remember who I am. I am Syren. Oh, said Jenna. Oh, that's awful. The diary ended there, but there was one last legible page, which was grubby and worn with use. This was where the book naturally fell open. At first it looked like a child's writing exercise repeated over and over, but instead of improving each time, it became increasingly disordered and defaced by another script. I am Syra. I am 19 years old. I come from the castle. I was the extraordinary apprentice of Julius Pike. I am Syra. I am Syra. I am Syra. I am 19 years, crossed out, old. I come from the castle, crossed out, the island. I was, crossed out, am, the extraordinary apprentice of Julius Pike, crossed out, island. I am Syra. I am Syra, crossed out, Syren. I am Syren. I am ageless. I come from the island. I am the island. I am Syren. I am Syren. When I call, you will come to me. She's gone, whispered Jenna, shaking her head in disbelief. Septimus watched her turn the pages, searching for Syra's neat, friendly writing, but there was no more. Nothing but cold, precise copperplate detailing complex signs and symbols that none of them could begin to understand. Jenna closed the book and silently handed it to Septimus. I feel like we have watched someone being murdered, she whispered. We have, agreed Septimus. Well, we have watched someone become possessed, which is much the same thing. Now do you believe me? Jenna and Beetle nodded. Beetle, said Septimus, I'll take the first watch, and you can do the second. I'll wake you in 2 hours. Jen, you need to get some sleep, okay? Jenna and Beetle nodded once again. Neither said another word. Septimus chose a place a few yards from the hideout, in the dip between 2 dunes, which gave him a good view of the beach, but provided him with cover. Despite the unknowns of the night, he felt alive and excited. Now he had the support of his friends, and whatever was going to happen, they were in it together. Septimus hated to think how Syra must have felt, alone with just her little blue book for company. Septimus sat stone still, breathing in the cool air, hearing the distant sound of the waves, as the tide retreated. Slowly he moved his head from side to side, watching the tops of the grasses for signs of movement, scanning the empty beach before him, listening. All was quiet. Hours passed. The air grew cold, but Septimus stayed still and watchful, almost part of the sand dune himself. The unearthly glow from the sphere of light lit the sky to his left, and as the moon began to rise, and as the tide drew ever further out, Septimus watched the glistening white shape of a sandbar appear. The sounds of the waves quieted as the water receded, and in the silent space Septimus heard something, the distant cry of a gull, and the deliberate step of bare feet on wet sand.